Like, never like, never like, never
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to my channel. My name's Arena. For those of you that are already subscribed, thank you so much for coming back and watching once again. And for anybody that's new here, thank you for joining me and clicking on this video. And don't forget, if you enjoy my content, give me that like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so it will let you know when I upload new videos. Today's video is going to be, again, I'm doing a mini series, I guess, going into the new year. And I wanted to try and share with anybody watching what I have done this past year that's made me really, really good with my diet. And I know a lot of people struggle with certain things diet-wise, like sugars, carbs, etc. Now, I used to be one of those people. I used to struggle to find anything that wasn't a carb or wasn't filled with sugar to eat. I used to crave a lot of sugar. I used to crave carbohydrates. I used to be very unable to say no to those sort of things. And it wasn't good for me. Like, it affected my health, it affected my mood, it affected so many things. And when I really committed to changing things up, I saw a difference and I saw the benefits, and things like my skin's better, my weight stayed stable, I'm at a healthy weight and I feel good in my own body, my mood's massively improved, my sleep's amazing, I perform better, I don't depend on caffeine and stuff like that. So I just wanted to share with you guys 5 things that I did to really overhaul my whole diet and my whole lifestyle when it comes to diet. And I hope these are useful. They're not complicated, and I appreciate they're easy things in theory, but it can take a little bit of time. So before I even go into this, I want to be completely transparent and say the process isn't linear. It goes well, and then you slip off a little bit, and then you have to get back on track, and everybody will experience this, I'm sure. I definitely went through all of that before I got to a really good place, and I'm not perfect. And when I say not perfect, I mean I do not deny myself 100% of the time anything. I firmly believe that it's okay to have a piece of cake. It's okay to have a carb meal. It's okay to do these things when they're not the norm. As a treat now and again, when it's planned well. And for example, for me, if I go out and I have a meal like that and I'll have that dessert, it's very much accounted into my week or into my month. And I know that it's not going to be all the time. It's just literally that special occasion. I'll allow myself, but then I'm right back on track. And I think for me, that's the secret, because when I did try to deny myself all the time, I wasn't able to sustain it. And then I would end up falling off that and then just going right back to eating junk. So for me, that didn't work. And I hope it's what I'm sharing with you, I hope is realistic and the sort of things that anybody can do, and you will see a massive difference. And like I said, it's not going to be perfect, but you can do this, because I am nothing like, I don't even know how I've done this, because I didn't think I would, but I have. And that just lets me know that anybody can. So if that sounds interesting, and if you want to stay with me and hear the tips I've got to share with you, stay tuned and let's get into it. So the things that I cut out of my life are sugar and carbs. When I say cut out, I mean they are not my everyday sort of go-to. They still happen on special occasions, or if I decide to do that, but they are not part of my normal diet anymore. There is a lot of evidence, first of all, into the effects of sugar, the effects of carbs, like a high carb diet, etc, etc, etc. Please look into it, learn about it. I feel it really helped me stick to what I was trying to do and committing to really changing things around. And the more I learned, the more I educated myself, the easier the process got, and the more I believed in what I was doing, which kept me going through times where it was difficult and maybe I would go back a step. I just kept reminding myself of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I do think it's important to feel connected to things when we're trying to to overcome bad habits, etc., etc. And you have to have purpose behind it. So that would be my first sort of tip that I would give you. So how did I really overhaul things? The first thing, and I've just touched on that, is really committing and deciding that this is who you now want to be. It has to be a very conscious thing, and not because, you know, that person's doing it, so let me do it because I feel like that's what I should do. Not because of anyone else's expectations, but because I see the benefit and I know there's going to be a benefit, and I know there's a reason why I'm doing it for myself. So try and ask yourself, why am I doing this? And figure out your why. I think that's really important in life, in anything we're doing, because change is really freaking difficult. It always is. And if it comes from an external source, if that motivation comes from something external, it's not going to be as easy to stick to it. But if it comes from something within, something intrinsic, then we are much more likely to persist in changing the habit. So that's number one, commit and discover your why and really, really be true to that. The second thing I would say is go shopping with a list. Prepare ahead of time. Prepare. I'm not very good with a set meal plan. I find that quite restrictive. And the minute I have pre-made meals and I have to do that over and over and over, I start to resist it, and I feel like my freedom's being taken away. It sounds really weird, but I start to rebel because it feels too constricting. So what I have started to do, which has worked really well for me, like the past half year, let's say, I make a list of foods, ingredients, etc. All of it is good. All of it's healthy. So I'll buy snacks that are healthy, things like nuts, eggs, veg, berries, lots and lots of berries. And I'll have like a bit of a selection of snacks, but they're all healthy. And then I'll also buy ingredients for main meals, but I'll buy different types of meats. I'll buy different veggies, different, just different things that I could put together, but they're all healthy. I'm always going to end up with a healthy meal. And then I can decide what I make with those ingredients, but it's not going to be exactly the same thing, like pre-made and like too restrictive. I hope that makes sense. So for example, I'll always have eggs in the house. I'll always have things like peppers, lettuce, like rocket, what else? Beef, chicken, sometimes fish, just loads of different things that you could literally just throw together and you can make a delicious meal. And a key thing about food is using herbs and using not sauces, not pre-made things. They're always filled with like sugars and preservatives and stuff like that, but just having herbs that you just add individually to things, that's a really, really good tip. And I'm quite obsessed with Cajun spices. Like that's one of my favorite things. Italian mixed spices. I quite like cumin, but I can't think what I would make with that. Anyway, that's kind of how I go about making sure. So I go shopping with a list, but I just get lots of different healthy things, and then it gives me the freedom to kind of, it's probably, you know, I know a lot of people won't probably like that idea because you can buy too much or whatever, but I've got really good with knowing my portion sizes. So for example, like a day when I go buy berries, I know I'm probably going to eat about half a small pack of the berries that I buy. So I might buy multiple pack of blueberries, but I'll factor in probably usually once a day I'm going to have half of that pack, so I know kind of how many to buy. Also, I try and think, you know, 7 days I'm going to eat something out of this in that 7 days. So I do try and like quantify what I'm buying and not just like buying loads of stuff. I hope that makes sense. Feel free to ask in the comments if there's anything that isn't clear to you, or if there's anything I can help with. Happy to do that. Yeah, so that's shopping and being prepared when you go shopping, and not just like picking up things off the shelves because they're on offer or whatever, because that's really, really tricky. I do stick to a list, and that's changed things massively. The next thing is, oh, this is a huge one for me, It's removing everything, all the junk out of my home. I tried buying just enough so I would have like one a day, or it would be like my treat drawer or whatever. I can't do it. I cannot do the thing of looking at something sweet or junk food. I cannot look at it and say, okay, that's for a treat. I don't have that willpower. And I learned that about myself, and it was so freeing when I did, and I accepted it. So now I just don't have junk in my house. If I want snacks, there's just berries, there's eggs, there's veggies, there's stuff like that. Worst case scenario, if I really, really crave sweet, which I actually don't anymore, but if I really, really crave it, I've got dark chocolate that I can have a square of or whatever, because I don't love dark chocolate. But if I'm really, really craving something sweet, and again, we have time of the month, and you know, there's times where you just need it. But dark chocolate is amazing because I get that sweet kind of craving, and it fixes that, but I can't eat too much of it because I don't enjoy it after a point. So it's a happy medium for me. But what I have done since eating healthier is when I don't have sugary things in particular, and I have some fruit, my taste buds have changed so much that the fruit tastes really sweet and really delicious. And 98% of the time, that will actually feed my sugar craving on its own. Like just having a handful of berries or strawberries, that usually fixes it. So I don't really crave sugar. So yeah, remove all of the junk out. You do not need it. I actually went a step further and removed all the carbs as well. So there's no pasta. There's no like rice, breads. I do occasionally treat myself to these things, so please don't think that it's like never ever a thing. And sometimes I will buy sourdough bread, and sometimes I just fancy it for breakfast, and on a weekend, or I don't know, if it's a holiday or something, then I will treat myself to something like sourdough bread. I'll even have a nice pasta. Yeah, so it's not like never ever, but it just doesn't happen all the time. And again, it's planned in, so I know I'm not going to go overboard, and I don't just have this stuff lying around. I will go buy it because I've planned to give myself like a bit of a treat that week. I also don't really have potatoes or anything too carby veg wise. Now I actually learned, I took a like a allergies test or something. I can't remember what it's actually called, but it just shows you what your body responds to, how your body responds to different foods. And strangely enough, something I never ever thought about, I'm actually not good with potatoes. Like that's one of the highest things I've got a reaction to on my list of things I tested. So I've cut out potato, and the craziest thing now, if I have potato, I will know about it. The same with really fatty, like oils, really fatty, just if something's cooked in a lot of oil, I cannot, it makes me really, really sick. Like it makes me feel awful. And it's interesting that when you start to like put in good stuff, you'll definitely know when something's not serving you, and you'll just know to stay away from that. Yeah, so doing a test, like an allergy test or a reactions test to foods, in fact, what I'm going to do, in the comment section, I'm gonna link what I used, the website that I used to get this. And yeah, it's an interesting thing that if you want to do that sort of thing, is definitely interesting. Okay, the next thing was intermittent fasting. This for me felt right. The reason why it felt right is because I've actually never been a breakfast person. But what was happening for me for a period of time is I was eating late at night, and that was causing weight gain, and it was also disturbing my sleep. My skin was getting bad, etc, 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 and it would tend to be junk food. Now my lifestyle was kind of causing that as well, because I was working late, I was traveling a lot, I wasn't really prioritizing self-care or good diet, I wasn't prepared, and then I would just reach out for junk food at night. I would have it in the house, so it'd be very, very easy for me to do that. I really struggled with late night cravings for a really long time, and it would be really, really sugary cravings. Also because I was stressed, because I wasn't sleeping well, because I was tired. It's like this vicious cycle where you just crave more bad stuff and your habits just get worse and worse and worse. So I decided to try intermittent fasting. Now I did this the first time in spring, I think, or maybe into beginning of summer, and I straight away noticed how much better I felt. For the first few days, it can be a little bit harder, so it's important to start with a good ratio of fasting. So, for example, trying to start when you've never fasted, trying to start with a 20-hour fast and then a 4-hour eating window may be a big change. So based on my experience, I would say start smaller. So maybe start with an 18 to 6 or a 16 to 8 ratio. All that means is for 16 hours, you're not going to be eating. And don't forget, you're going to be sleeping in that time. It's late night. So you select how long you want to do your fasting, and you select what time you start, what time you eat again the next day. I always start my fasting at 7, and then my eating window starts around 1 or 2 o'clock, depending on what ratio I'm going to. That suits me really, really nicely. And then from 1 o'clock until 7, I have a window to eat if I want to. That works really easily for me now. Sometimes I might just have one big meal in that 7-hour window, and it might be at the midpoint in that. And then I might have a snack of fruit or veggies at another point. But because I've got so good with it, my body just doesn't need a lot. It just needs one good nutritious meal. And this is another secret when you're intermittent fasting. I personally believe that to do it right, when you have that eating window, you can't go back to craving to eating junk food. It's got to be satiating, nutritious foods. This is a whole other topic in itself. But what I noticed is when I used to go to eat in that window, when I used to have carbs like pasta, rice, and these are not terrible for you, but what I found is when I was eating carbs and maybe having chocolate bars and maybe having crisps and just having a sandwich, that sort of stuff, that always made me want to eat more. And I don't really know. I mean, I know the junk food will have addictive things in it, so it makes you crave more stuff. So that would make sense. But I just found that they weren't as filling somehow. So when I changed to making meals out of really, really satiating things and healthy fats, meats, healthy fats, veggies, protein, and that sort of stuff, that's when I started to feel really, really full. I wasn't craving anything afterwards. I didn't want more of anything. And then when I reached my sugar craving, I would just have some fruit, and that would normally kind of fix that as well. So what you eat in that eating window, I do think it also matters, and it will make it easier for you to stick with that fasting period as well, because you're not feeding yourself with addictive things. And things that are satiating are, you meat, things like avocados, things like nuts, healthy oils, healthy fat, lots of veggies, and you can eat as many veggies as you like. And you can just Google literally satiating foods. And I think that the way I eat probably classes as keto. I think that's the closest description of the sort of ingredients I shop for and I have in my fridge. So if you want an idea of what these foods are, I would just advise to look up keto foods, low carb, low sugar ingredients. The next one is water. And this is my last tip now. Drinking enough water makes a massive difference. I started to drink 1 full glass of water in the morning as soon as I woke up, and I take my vitamins at the same time, and collagen and stuff like that. So I always start my day with that, and then I have a 1 liter bottle with me at all times. So I at least try and drink that bottle but I will end up probably drinking closer to 2 liters. But if I don't take my bottle with me, I fail massively at this. So I do encourage having a good water bottle that you take with you everywhere. Like if I get in the car and drive somewhere, the bottle comes with me. If I go for a walk, if I meet a friend, the bottle comes with me. Sounds really sad, but it's so paramount to doing it. Anytime I don't take that with me, I completely forget to drink water. So it reminds me, also it's there, so it makes it easier for me to just grab it and drink it. And then I at least make sure that I drink that 1 liter. And I drive a lot for my job, so I'm in the car a lot. I have prioritized much more to go to like a drive-through or something and just buy bottles of water. And I'm so proud of myself because I literally remember to do that all the time. So if I ever forget my water bottle, I go somewhere through a drive-through and I just order like a couple big bottles of still. So yeah, that's really, really helped in my journey. What you'll find with the water as well is that it does make you feel fuller. But in fact, I'm going to add one more tip, and it kind of relates a little bit to the fasting. When you fast, you give your body time to start to express like its actual needs. Like you will start to pay attention to your body, and you'll start to realize when you're hungry, and maybe when you're not hungry but you think you're hungry, or when you're bored, or because there's like real hunger is different to like wanting something or fancying something. This sounds really weird, but when you fast, your body calms down a little bit, and those cravings and those like addiction to sugar and stuff, it lowers the risk. You don't feel that craving and that addiction as much. So when you start to feel hungry and you have a glass of water, let's say, you will recognize that it wasn't hunger, you just needed like water. You just needed nourishing through water. Other times you might feel hungry, and then you'll eat something really nutritious and satiating, and you'll feel full and you won't crave things. But you can recognize that you're actually full, and you can recognize when you're just fancying something, or you might have seen something on TV, or like maybe someone else is having something and you're like, oh, like sometimes I see recipes on social media and I watch it and they're making cakes and chocolate and Nutella and stuff like that, and I'm like, I know I fancy it right now because I see it, but I know I'm not hungry, and I know I don't truly want it because before watching this video, there was nothing about me that was craving this product or this thing. Does that make sense? You're basically just training your body to, it's a bit like, I would imagine, like an addict. Because we are addicts to sugars, carbohydrates, products that have these addictive substances in them. And sugar has been proven to be more addictive than cocaine. I mean, there are studies out there that literally say this is a very, very addictive substance. So when you have it all the time, you've almost like numbed your own senses, and you don't know when you're hungry or when you're just like craving out of that addiction. And based on my experience, the only way to eliminate that addiction is to cut yourself off from the addictive things. And it's not easy. I know it's not easy because I failed many, many times before I got good at this. But when you literally eliminate all the bad stuff, like you literally can't, you just cannot access it, that's when you have to power through that hard period. And in fact, I will tell you this, when I first started, probably it took me, I would even go to say like good 6 months of trying, failing. And the reason for that is that I think, oh, it's okay, I can just have one thing here and I can just have one thing there. And that one thing here and there became like more and more regular. And then I ended up going back to square one, and I was like, okay, I cannot do the one thing here and one thing there. Maybe some people can. I certainly am not that person. Like the minute I know I cannot start to do this something, to eat more sugar or carbs a little bit more, like a few times a week, that will take me backwards. I can have it maybe once every few weeks or once a month if I go out for a nice meal and I let myself have dessert and whatever. But in my home, on my traveling, when I'm working, traveling, I do not allow myself to have anything that's not part of the the plan I made and the list I made. So I have to be very, very, very prepared. And I know if I don't do that, I will slip back. And not to say that I don't slip back, it happens still. But straight away, I just recognize it and I just get back up and go again. So I hope someone has benefited from this. These are my top tips. Sugar is really, really bad for us. And to me, there's just no benefit to having it. And it's nice now and again, but it's not worth it to me to abuse my body in the way I was. And yeah, I think health is the most important thing we've got. And I think without it, we really truly don't have anything. Because if you can't feel well in yourself, you can't be good for other people. You can't be good to other people. You can't be good at what you do. You can't be successful. You can't do anything without your health. So I hope that this has helped someone get on to their journey. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, guys. Thank you for watching once again. And I will see you in my next one. And don't forget, give me that like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see when I upload future videos. And that's it. Have a wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye-bye.
Never like